Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Rafae Iqbal, and in today's show we'll be talking about Pakistani politics and of course how PTI has called off its negotiations with the government. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has once again chosen a rigid stance, deciding to back away from the ongoing negotiations being held with the government under the auspices of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Sardar Sadiq, and also as to, of course, give impetus to national interests over the challenges that the country is facing. PTI's decision not to pursue this path signals a continued polarization within the country's political landscape, potentially delaying the much needed delays, of course, to the potential issues that the country is facing. We know the government is focused a lot on economic revitalization and political stability. Along with that, on the diplomatic front, we know a lot of efforts are being put in to strengthen the bilateral ties with friendly and all the stakeholders in the world in a bid to increase foreign direct investment and strengthen Pakistan's relations with those countries as well. We'll be deliberating on all the different aspects of PTI's politics that it has been pursuing for the past years and the implications it has on the country's political landscape, not only that, on the economic and security landscape as well. In the studios, we've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi. Along with that, we've been joined by geopolitical analyst Faisal. On Skype, we've been joined by Usman Kardar, leader of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, and Muneeb, Qadir, who is a political analyst. I'd like to thank you all for your time and being part of the conversation. Starting off from Ms. Usman, how do you see this decision by the PTI taking a U-turn from its decision or to indulge in negotiations and now stepping away from that amidst the ongoing political situation in the country?
Thank you very much for inviting me. And PTI have lived up to their reputation once again, the reputation of taking U-turns. They were never really serious about the negotiations for the simple reason that this is not a party which enjoys a democratic mindset. It is actually a this is a party led by a very, very autocratic leader. And this gentleman thinks that he is the end all and be all of everything. And he uses people to perpetuate his own comeback into power, so to say. So he's using everybody around him, maybe the people, the youth, the women, his social media team. He uses everybody and anybody. Now, the thing is that the government was very serious. The intent of the government was that it is time we put politics, on the back burner and move together, sit with everybody to, to address the economic issues of Pakistan, the huge challenges which Pakistan is facing. For that, even if we have to sacrifice our political stature, no problem. Our red line is Pakistan, and only if Pakistan survives, then we will survive. Otherwise, if Pakistan is not there, we are also finished. So all the parties decided, the government, along with the alliance parties, we have People's Party, we have MQM and other parties with us, they all sat on the table with PTI. Now, PTI had two motives for these negotiations. Number one, they had reached a dead end. They had tried everything under the book to spread chaos. They attacked state institutions. 9th May is in front of you. They attacked the capital twice. Then you saw what happened on the 24th and 26th of November when everything failed. All their attempts to damage, to attack the state, malign the state institutions, when everything fell flat on its face, then they turned towards the negotiation table because they didn't have any other choice or any other option left. So they crawled to the table, but at the back of the mind, they were just buying time because they're absolutely not turned into absolutely yes a long time back. And they thought after the 20th, when the Trump administration is sworn in, then everything is going to be hunky-dory. Then the first thing that Trump will do is that he will, put pressure on the government to release Imran Khan and put him back on the throne of prime ministership. So this was the whole intent of coming to the negotiating table in the first place. Now, this was the fourth round of negotiations, and Ayaz Sadiq has been facilitating them in every possible way. Their charter of demands were being considered. They were, they've already had three parleys. The fourth one was coming up. They were contemplating the judicial commission. They were talking about it. That was also on the table. And the deadline that PTI gave was actually the 31st. What happened? Even, a week before the deadline, all of a sudden they back out of the negotiations. So what does that show? That conveys to the whole nation the true colors of PTI. They do not want political stability. They do not want political stability. They do not want economic stability. They want chaos. And out of that politics of populism and propaganda, they want to come back into power. That's it.
Of course, Mr. Usman, you mentioned the round of talks. In the third round of talks, and what happened after that was that the PTI founder, he got sentenced in the £190 million Kardar trust case. Regarding that, do you think they're in a position to make such big demands? And secondly, the PTI founder is now a convict. Of course, he has the right to appeal, but he has been sentenced in that case. And of course, negotiations are underway with that as well. Does it seem more like, when we talk about PTI's policies and PTI's politics, attacking and marching on the federal capital and asking the government to give them relief when their cases are being tried under the judiciary? Do you think it's another way for asking for an NRO, what they're doing?
They've been asking for an NRO since day one. First, they went to the establishment. They groveled at their feet. Please give us an NRO. When the establishment closed doors on them, they said, look, if you want to come to us for security, we are there. We'll help you with any terrorism going on in KP. But if you want to talk politics, go to the government, go to the political parties. This is not our ambit. We've got nothing to do with politics. So that door was shut. So when that door was shut, they came here. But their intent was not, coming to some kind of solution. It was an NRO. They wanted the government, through an executive order, to finish all the cases of Bani and bring him out of jail. So this is what they wanted. They do not respect courts. They don't understand that we follow a constitution. We believe in the rule of law. And we will respect the court's decision. Whatever the court's decision, they've got plenty of relief from courts. See, their Cypher case, which was an open and shut case, they got relief from the courts. What about this other case of the Nikah? They got relief.
A point very well made. I'd like comments from a legal and political expert that we have in the show as well. Muneeb, Qadir, I'd like your views regarding, of course, this round of negotiations that we're talking about and the demands PTI is making in light of the recent order that was, of course, given by a court regarding the £190 million.
I think that the PTI is trying to peddle false narratives about the £190 million case, which is an open and shut case, and that is what I have been saying for a very long time. But now the verdict is out. The Accountability Court last week just convicted the PTI founder and his wife and sentenced them to 14 years and 7 years in prison respectively. So now they're trying to portray it as a case between, a private individual and the UK National Crime Agency and trying to wash the hands of any involvement in the case. But every single evidence, not just, coming in from the verdict that has come in from our own courts and our own judiciary, but actually findings of even the UK Court of Appeal. Every single thing points towards the involvement of PTI in the £190 million scam, an attempt to deprive the national exchequer of £190 million to pay off the debts of of a person who had been convicted by the Supreme Court, trying to engage in white collar crime. So every single evidence that there is points against. PTI points towards their nefarious designs in trying to deprive the national exchequer of 190 million pounds. Having failed on that count, now they're trying to, leverage their whatever they think influence is on the negotiation with the government, and now they've called it off because the deadline, the cut-off date that they had suggested for judicial commissions to be set up, now that they've passed, they think that they can hold the government hostage to their whims, and this is, an indirect way that they could sort of compensate for the huge loss that they've suffered recently in a legal sense in the accountability court. Uh, but we need to understand, just as my co-panelist, Mrs. Kardar, she's mentioned, what they want is chaos. It's absolutely shameful that on the sidelines of the, US president's inauguration, PTI propagandists like Mohit Pirzada, like Wajahat S. Khan, all these people were lobbying American lawmakers, and yes, their absolutely nots have turned into absolutely yes. They used to say that we are not slaves to the Western world, we are not American slaves. And in fact, they used to idealize, the regime which came in Afghanistan for breaking free from the shackles of American slavery. So how come that now they are going all the way to America within the corridors of power within the American administration, Trump administration, and pinning their hopes entirely on President Donald Trump as if he doesn't have any bigger fish to fry. So this just shows that they are going to resort to every single unconstitutional, illegal, unlawful, and even unethical way of, just clawing their way back to power. But unfortunately for them, this is not how things work. And this is not how even America shapes up its foreign policy towards Pakistan. But it's very, very, very shameful that the kind of defamatory and derogatory statements that have been coming from PTI lobbyists and propagandists in America. Ultimately, it's disloyal towards our own country, because you're trying to say, you're trying to implicate not just the government, but even our institutions, state institutions, in the most uh, horrific, unfounded of crimes. And you have to prove what you're saying. So you are trying to insinuate that Pakistani officials, our politicians, our whole government and state machinery, they are involved in crimes of which you have absolutely no shred of evidence. Just how desperate could you be?
Of course, very important points that you raised. For Pitafi, I'd like your views as well. The formation, the demand for the formation of a judicial commission, your views?
Right. Thank you very much, Rafae. Once again, yesterday's caveats actually hold.
Yeah.
I'm still under the weather, so
Get
if
well
I
soon.
suddenly have a bout of barking cough, I hope everyone forgives me. But regarding what what was being said earlier, I was listening to all our colleagues here, and I was just wondering, because Donald Trump's name was mentioned more than once. The day he actually won the election, immediately after that, the CEO of SoftBank, Japanese holding company, actually met him, and he announced that he's going to invest $100 billion in America. Donald Trump asked him to double it, and there was a willy-nilly commitment to that. But the day he actually took over, Donald Trump, his first full day, Yoshi's son and others, including OpenAI, had actually brought together a package of $500 billion, and they invested, they have announced investing it in America. Second day, Saudi Arabia announced $600 billion are going to be invested in America in the next 4 years, and Donald Trump just a few minutes ago asked them to double it and make it 1 trillion. Right? These people are focusing on what kind of issues? They are building their country. They are talking about economic growth. And what are we doing? Donald Trump's a reference, if it comes, it has to do with somebody incarcerated or somebody who is in politics or not. I mean, come on, let's wake up, right? Regarding PTI, I'd tell you one thing for sure. I had high hopes for this dialogue process because I thought that if PTI realized that it can actually become a full-time political party. It is not. It still actually believes that it is some kind of hybrid, blue-eyed boys of the state or deep state or the establishment. Perhaps establishment is angry, but someday they are going to vote back and they are going to come back to power. But the point is that this cycle has repeated itself with other parties as well. It happened with People's Party at the start when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was very close to Ayub Khan. And then after that we saw Mian Nawaz Sharif was very close to Ziaul Haq as well. So with that kind of cycle, eventually political parties have to realize that they'll have to mend fences among themselves and find a way to play together. And that would mean Charter of Democracy 2.0. Unfortunately, the problem with PTI is it doesn't have the temperament to play on any kind of pitch, political pitch. So what happened was that they ended up actually giving cut-off date. It was supposed to be an unconditional dialogue, right? You add conditions and then you add timeline also. In 1 week, make these two commissions. Now, if I don't know whether you have read Romeo and Juliet or Shakespeare's, right? I remember, Juliet actually asking, Queen actually asking Romeo to actually, Romeo, deny your father and defy your name. Yeah. So at this moment, what these guys are asking government is to actually declare that in the fight between establishment and PTI or whatever it did on May 9th, you will be standing with us, right? You will appear before the courts and ask them to release our people as your people, right? And this is the beginning of dialogue, right? These are conditionalities at the start of it. Secondly, remember that May 9th issue, which you thought that is clear cut, and then you have actually given punishments to people. You are going to actually overthrow that whole narrative, and you are going to actually establish a commission to investigate that as well. That is not all. Then November 26th, 25th, whatever, at that time, everybody from your own party was saying, don't go far, don't go ahead, and yet you did. And then there was a storm of lies. Storm of lies, like billions of people somehow appeared, were killed and disappeared, right? They, as if the bodies were uploaded to the cloud. But with that kind of story, now they want the state and the government to commit already to be party of PTI. Okay, if they do, then what? Then we will begin to talk to you. When are you going to vacate the government, and when are you going to hand over power to us? If this is the state of affair of dialogue, then there is no hope at all, right? This is my point. The day they actually did, and I was heartbroken that day, because I thought that there was humongous possibility of them finding some kind of redemption. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Does it mean that the people, particularly our journalist friends, those who claim to be in the know, they keep on indicating or implying repeatedly with their special expressions that perhaps some other dialogue was going on? Does it mean that that fell apart also? One thing is for sure, Donald Trump has better things to do than to actually waste his time on Pakistan's political issues. It can change. I don't know. If he needs us, he might use it as leverage. But for now, he's getting everything he wants. I mean, 2 days, first 2 days, $1.1 trillion commitment already there on table.
Yeah.
So why would he worry about anything else, right?
Definitely food for thought. Raja Faisal, I'd like to include you in the conversation as well regarding this unconditional dialogue and PTI's rigid stance. How do you see this dialogue so far as it has developed?
Well, Rafae, when everyone was talking about the dialogue, and I remember, I think last week or before that, we did a show in which I said, I started with that they're just trying to check the depth of the water by just throwing a stone inside. And this is what they have been doing at that time. They themselves said that there will be 3 phases of dialogue. In first phase, of course, they were with the demands that all of the political prisoners which they claim to be the political prisoners, they should be of course released, and two of the judicial commissions they wanted, one on 9th May, the other one on 26th of November, and then they will be able to go for the next phase of the talks. And obviously they gave 1 week to the government to of course fulfill these demands, and I knew that these demands will not be fulfilled, because whatever the demands are, they were of course not proportionate to the talks at all. And to me, I think the very moment they presented with these kind of demands, I knew that there is no future of the talks, because in the second phase they were about to come with the demands of course probing the February 2024 election, and then they were obviously thinking about going ahead with many other demands related to the cases against the leadership, and cases against and the justice must be delivered on the basis of rule of law, and they must have gone for abrogation of obviously 26th amendment in the constitution as well, which prima facie it is being seen as if the party would have come in the second phase. And the third phase, they were then, after getting all of this, then they would have considered themselves eligible for talking on how to maintain peace in the country, how to go along with the consensus on the economy, consensus on the security issues, consensus on the other political issues which are being faced by Pakistan. So it was a sort of a dream that obviously PTI as a political party was pushing forward for the talks. And of course, I could simply say that they are not serious about talking. And to be honest, as Farrukh has mentioned, as many of the other voices are talking about it as well, the PTI as a political party of course still believes in not one door for talks. They always have believed, and they are still believing in two doors for talks. And obviously this door, they have been they've never knocked it before. They just wanted to knock it at this hour, just to present to the people that here we are, we believe in the political discourse and we believe in the political talks, and that's why we have knocked on the doors of the government as well, because we want to talk to them. But of course they are not committing to our demands, and if they are not accepting our demands, that's it, there is no need to talk to them. But there is always a perception of a hidden door where political parties, they do go and knock around and they talk to, and that door has always said, there is a wording written on that door. It says, please keep us apolitical. We do not want to be part of politics. They have said it in past, they say it again and again, and they say it in every presser they do, that please keep us away from the politics.
Definitely.
Don't include us. But I don't know why these PTI is still knocking on them doors. I think that door will not be opened. And they should believe in the political discourse. They should believe in how to talk to the political parties, the other political parties. Rafae, they are amongst us.
Definitely.
Them two parties, they are from us. All of the political parties, they create a beautiful political rainbow of Pakistan, and that rainbow, political rainbow, must be of course agreed upon by all of the political parties. Political differences will always be there, but as long as they are in compliance with each other, to agree to disagree and to disagree to agree at the same time. And I think that's the beauty.
Very quickly, I just want, because he spoke about two doors, I just wanted to appeal to your imagination that both these doors are basically in the middle of a park, and both these doors are revolving doors, and they are actually being used as merry-go-round. They don't lead to anywhere. right? So essentially, what PTI is doing is having fun.
Well, in light of what Raja Faisal just said, of course, when we talk about politics amongst the political parties and leaving the others apolitical, there's a lot of talk, and as analysts have also mentioned, PTI having a lot of different factions within itself. As with regards to the 26th of November, it was also something that was seen. There were different factions and there was no unity within the party itself. Regarding Faisal Wada, he said a statement that the PTI members are content with their founder being in prison. Do you think that the party, some of the factions of the party are themselves not wanting their founder out and these negotiation process becoming a hindrance?
Who are you asking?
Mr. Usman, that was referred to you.
Uh, well, yes, absolutely. I'm having a lot of fun enjoying the show because number one, you take the lawyers who have actually hijacked the whole party. They have gulped down 1 billion rupees in so-called cases in which they couldn't get the founder out of Adiala at all. But they're very happy because till the time the founder is in jail, they're having a blast. You know, they're getting all their salaries, their emoluments, and, you know, they've got their cards and the TADAs, they've got positions. So why would they want Bani? Bani is going to come out and cause absolute mayhem and chaos again. And then he's going to take over the party and they'll be out before they know it. And then we have the saner elements in the party. Like, for example, we have Shah Mahmood, we have Barrister Gohar, we have Umar Ayub, we have these people, but they don't know what has hit them. They are nowhere in the political scenario. Nobody listens to them. The Bani least of all. He's not pushed about what they think. He only believes in propaganda and narratives built on lies and total fake news, and he plays with the emotions of the people. And who does that best? His social media team. So he has full confidence in people like Gibran Ilyas, Azhar Mashwani. So they are the ones, they are the leaders who now the founder is banking on. So all his ugly narratives, all his instigation, inciting people against the state, against the institutions of the state, that is what he wants. And they're the ones leading the party right now. So the party is in chaos. And then we have the family. You know, the family is tearing the party apart. Here we have his sisters. They're pulling the party. They want to take over the party. Then you have his wife. And the wife and his family, they're the major beneficiaries. So they want their pound of flesh. So here it is. Nobody wants him out. Because if he comes out, end of story for them. Anyway, the thing is that they're all living in a fool's paradise. One, who washes their dirty linen in public? Or other political parties and their leadership, they might have a zillion grievances, but they will never go out of Pakistan and damage the state and badmouth the state institutions and spoil the image of Pakistan, talk about human rights violations. For God's sake, what have you been up to? 4 rangers were martyred. Scores of policemen, the constables, the petrol bumps, burning of vehicles, and their own workers died because of their negligence. Where were all the human rights then? And if you're talking about human rights, for God's sake, can't you see the 60,000 deaths, the genocide in Gaza? Don't you have a little bit of grace that if internationally you can afford it and you have so many millions at your disposal, you should go and you should talk about ceasefire in Gaza. Did you ever hear a whimper from them? No. The problem is that this particular party's leadership, mainly the gentleman who is in Adiala right now, he is causing a security hazard by jeopardizing the national security institutions, the ones who have sacrificed millions of lives just to keep the borders safe so that we can breathe freely in a free land. They have sacrificed for us. Their families have sacrificed for us. And what do? We go and we destroy the martyrs, all the yadgars. What are we doing? There is no sense left absolutely in what how the people are being misled, how the people are being made to work against the state, the hate culture, the polarization, the hate culture, the trolling, the abuse.
Mr. Usman, that's a very important point that you raised. I'd like Muneeb's comment on that regarding there's, of course, the new PICA laws that are being amended, and, of course, as there's talk of it, how it's going to affect this digital terrorism and this hate culture that is being propagated very aggressively. Do you think, of course, this party's social media team, which we know has been involved in, of course, propagating this propaganda very aggressively, do you think it's high time that they resort to and listen to saner voices?
Ultimately, a balancing act will need to be done, because I understand that particularly PTI and their whole army of social media trolls, they have created havoc, and the way that they do it is by peddling fake narratives. And so I understand that fake news, particularly in today's age of disinformation, when these people have artificial intelligence, deepfake technology at their disposal, it can be very dangerous and incendiary and inflammatory. But because I've just said it has to be balancing act, so at the same time we have to ensure that civil liberties are not jeopardized, are not impaired, because why is it that every single time PTI or a miscreant like Ali Amin Gandapur, they say something or they try to do something or they try to use social media or internet to create mayhem, somehow people like me, I mean, it could be journalists, it could be professionals, it could be students, we always have to face interruptions and disruptions on no fault of our own. So for instance, I remember how internet had been slowed down during 26th November crisis that was caused by PTI, and so that is where the government will have to do a balancing act, as I've been saying, because it could be double-edged sword. I remember how President Trump during his first innings used to say fake news whenever he never liked any particular piece of information or news. So we have to make sure that fake news is defined in a very precise manner, so that those miscreants who try to cause mayhem, who try to cause hooliganism, only they are the ones who face the tune of the law, and not those who are on the right side of the law and who are using internet services and who are trying to use social media to have access to information or just to express themselves freely without putting anyone in the line of fire, without trying to harm anybody. So to that extent, of course, I definitely endorse the need to have cybercrime laws, the need to have laws regulating the kinds of conversations that take place in the cyberspace. But ultimately, it's for the government to ensure that civil liberties are not impinged upon. And I hope that they are able to strike that balance. It's a difficult one, it's a fine one, but definitely one worth striking and striking right.
Faisal, what's your opinion? Of course, when we talk about a few days back, we were talking about national interest being supreme. When we talk about the security situation, we were talking about there needs to be a charter, there needs to be a unified approach, charter of democracy, the way forward for political stability in the country. What's your opinion?
Yeah, obviously, when we talk about the political consensus and economic consensus, that is need of the hour for Pakistan, as Farrukh has rightly pointed out earlier. I mean, world, especially US, is thinking about bringing in billions of dollars of investments in their country. The country we are talking about, that is already the supremo in terms of the world economy, and still they are looking for that. And we are a country that is actually facing economic problems, and then our political fabric needs to be adjusted as well. And at the same time, I would agree with Muneeb when he said that there should be, of course, tighter caps on whatever is happening in the guise of social movements or some kind of social media experts that are sitting elsewhere and doing havoc for Pakistan. I mean, during the day earlier today, I have been going through one of the posts, and it was shared that if people like, if ex-journalists and anchors from Pakistan can sit outside and of course nominate people at the supreme positions in Pakistan and simply tell the world that these are the fascists that are active in Pakistan and they are doing all of this havoc against the people at large. If they can do it, why can't PTI's members who are sitting outside the country, they can name them as well. They can get to different forums and knock their doors like Amnesty International and all of them and tell them that these are the people who are of course culprits in Pakistan. I mean, they are inflaming hate. They are of course trying a political party that considers itself still a political party, and I would consider PTI to be a political party at this hour. But of course if they go to these kind of lines by all of these social media activists, if they want them to be like this, then of course we can simply say that all of these social media experts or social media hooligans, they are being paid by somebody to do all of that stuff, and a political party should always abstain from these kind of people. And why I'm saying this, because eventually whatever this political party, as an opposition party does against these people, these individuals, powerful individuals of Pakistan, it eventually becomes sort of official. But if anyone who has no stature, living abroad, and of course doing their YouTubes or doing their social media activism, whatever they say, that would carry no mean. But if PTI does it, that will carry a mean, that will carry a force, that will carry some kind of narrative, and that narrative should never be given abroad, should never be given to these kind of organizations. I still believe PTI is a political party, and it should come to the negotiations table with the political parties. They are part of that beautiful political fabric, beautiful political rainbow of Pakistan, and they should align themselves in the political fabric of Pakistan rather than resorting to ill manners, resorting to the ill hooliganism which is being carried out by some individuals sitting outside the country. And to me, I think the only way forward is all of the political parties, they have to, I have always said the only resolve to every trouble, every problem is talks. Even if somebody wants to fight, they can fight for a while, they can fight for a few months. After that, the solution would always be on the talks, on the table of the talks.
Definitely.
And if that is the solution, why waiting any longer? Why destroying your country more and more? Just come to the table and talk peace amongst you.
Well, very rightly said. Dialogue is the art of politics, and as the conversation has shaped up, different factions within the party, we hope saner voices prevail. For Pitafi, I'd like your concluding remarks on how the conversation has shaped up.
Right, because Faisal twice actually mentioned, it is a political party, and nowhere was I implying that it is not a political party. My only thing was that they believed themselves to be something superior to a political party, for whom the business as usual of politics is not acceptable. That's why every time Khan Saab would be asked, he would say that should I talk to these robber barons or these dacoits, right? The point is that in the end, as a political party, you'll have to come together and talk. That is a given. But the problem is that right now what is happening, I keep on focusing on other countries. I see great examples. Argentina is another example. The economy just turned around, right? Because somebody was paying attention. And here what we are doing is we are fighting amongst ourselves. And what happens, Rafae, I understand that we have a tough time, but very quickly, consider yourself a good student in a class where you follow all the rules. You're very good, very smart. You follow all the curriculum. You eat your peas and carrots in time. But because, and most of the classes like you, But there are 2 or 3 very entitled brats who are sitting and they keep on throwing tantrums. And because of that, 90% of that class is focused on managing them. Right? Is it fair? Every day I wake up, I consider more of my liberties actually slipping away because of the fact that a party is hell-bent on exploiting it, right? Abusing it. The problem right now is that in the coming days, eventually you'll have to let go of some of the legal constraints, because then other political parties can come. But today, if you keep on telling yourself that you are the most popular party in the country, the evidence, whatever you have, is 1 year old. You don't know. Economy is getting better. There might be emergence of a new party. Hell, Faisal and I can launch a new party, and I assure you, if you allow me to be a little fascistic, I will give you a party that everyone will forget it. Everything else.
I hope you can find
forgotten.
space for me as well.
Right? Yeah, you're welcome. And everyone else will be forgotten. So, with due respect, please stop inhaling your own propaganda and feeling entitled and compromising our rights just because you can. Right? Because in the end, this country is destined for a long run, it can go far. But you keep on compromising it. The world is moving on. They're talking about colonizing space, sending people to Mars. They're talking about AI, 500 billion in AI infrastructure. What the hell are we doing, right?
Well, with that, we'll conclude the show as, of course, a very long debate. But, of course, we hope as the developments unfold, if there's more that we see for Pakistan's national interest. I'd like to thank all of our guests. Mr. Usman, Kardar, leader of the PML-N, Muneeb, Qadir, political and legal analyst, Farrukh, Pitafi, senior analyst, and Faisal, geopolitical analyst. I'd like to thank you all for your time and being part of the conversation. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. See you all same time tomorrow. Till then, take care.